Joltik Box is my new favorite deck in the current format for so many reasons. It's consistent to set up, has a counter to most relevant decks, and provides easy prize mapping for almost any deck you play against. It may not be the best deck overall, but it's absolutely worth checking out if you want something a little easier to play that's still competitive. Most of the time, you'll start the game trying to set up an Iron Hands and a Pikachu early on. You'll want to go second if you get the chance and try to get a Joltik into the active. In my testing, I've found it pretty easy to get a Miraidon out early. This will help you pull out 2 more electric Pokemon like a Joltik, Pikachu, or Iron Hands. Using a combination of cards like Nest Balls, Arven, Rescue Board, Future Booster Energy Capsule, you can usually get to a board state that looks something like this. Latias EX can also come into play early if you need help retreating. And we really don't care if they knock out Joltik after this. Everything we put down will be 2 prize Pokemon from here on out, so your opponent will usually need to go through 3 more knockouts to win the game anyway. After setting up the Jolting charge, you basically just react to whatever your opponent puts down. If they have several small single prizers, you can pick off one with Iron Hands, and if they put a lot of resources into setting up something more substantial, you can use Pikachu to knock it out. This usually gets through the first 4 prize cards, and you can bring in a Bloodmoon Ursaluna to clean up the final support Pokemon like a Fezandipiti or Tealmask Ogerpon or something like that. Most games go something like this, where you use a 2-2-2 prize mapping to win the game. Other Pokemon in the deck include Galvantula to use as a single prize attacker that's strong against dark Pokemon. It does 180 damage if attacking an EX Pokemon with an ability, and it also has a lightning energy attached to it. This is your best shot at making sure Farigiraf EX doesn't ruin your entire game, since every other card we have in this deck is a basic EX. Iron Leaves EX is also a card that I've seen a lot of people cut, but I'm going to include it because, again, it's strong against dark Pokemon, and it provides a good way to get out of anything that tries to retreat lock you, like Wellspring Ogerpon Sob Attack that is pretty popular right now. I actually ran into some trouble trying to use Galvantula against a Hydreigon, since it doesn't have an ability, and I should have used Iron Leaves for a one-hit knockout. Lillie's Clefairy is also great against Dragon Pokemon like Dragapult or Raging Bolt. Again, most games will lean on Iron Hands and Pikachu as the main attackers. It's just good to have options. We have 4 of most of our supporters for max consistency throughout the game. Plenty of Boss's Orders make sure we're always tacking the most impactful target. 4 Crispin make sure we always have the energy we need. And 4 Arven help set up the early game while also helping with our tool selection. There are great tool options for the Pokemon we mentioned before, with Rescue Board for free retreat, Future Booster Energy Capsule for free retreat or to allow Iron Hands to do more damage, Bravery Charm for a little extra HP, and an EXP share to move energy around after you take a knockout. We chose Prime Catcher as our ace spec because it's kind of broken in this deck. Having 4 Arven that can help find that Prime Catcher, 4 Boss's Orders, and a Latias for free retreat gives you a ton of combinations where you can set up devastating attacks almost any time throughout the game. And we'll try this deck out against Dragapult here. So right now we're just looking at a Duskull and a Fezandipiti, which is pretty early to put down that Fez. But unfortunately we start with our Iron Leaves in the active, so not the card we want to see right away. I don't think we'll want to use that in this matchup at all actually, but they go ahead and use a Buddy Poffin to get some more Dreepy down. And then it's our turn, so we'll do some prize checking with this Nest Ball. We're going to grab a Miraidon, but it looks like we don't have our Fezandipiti, which is a bummer. I think prized a boss as well, maybe an Ultra Ball, a couple tools so we don't have our Rescue Board or our EXP share, so nothing devastating. I think I was missing a penny there that I have in this deck as well, so nothing devastating, but definitely some good things to keep in mind. We'll go ahead and use our Miraidon to get out our Iron Hands and a Joltik early on, because I think I can pick off either this Duskull or one of those Dreepy early on with Iron Hands. Then we'll want to see how we get to our Joltik in the active here. So I think I consider a couple of things here. I think I wanted to grab my tool being the Rescue Board to get this Virizion out of the way. So I was going to use Prime Catcher for my next turn and then use that Rescue Board, but I don't have Rescue Board as an option. So I go ahead and get Nest Ball for our Latias as well, and then not really too much of an option for tools. So we just go with the Future Booster Energy Capsule. We also have that Bravery Charm in hand. So we go ahead and get Latias on the board so we can get Iron Leaves out of the way. I don't know that I'm going to be using too much Pikachu early on. I might get it out on my next turn just so I can use it with this Gravity Mountain. And I don't think I used Gravity Mountain, or I mentioned Gravity Mountain in the intro, but that'll help get any Stage 2 Pokemon below 300 HP so that Pikachu can knock them out. And it's a little bit of a gamble to put so much energy on the Iron Hands, but I don't think they're going to knock it out on their next turn. They would need something like a rare candy evolution of Dreepy to get it to a Dragapult, as well as a Dusclops to evolve their Duskull and pop that for 50 more damage. I think they would also need like a Prime Catcher or something like that because they need Crispin to get 2 energy onto the Dreepy. So I think they would need a lot to be able to take out that Iron Hands, and I'm hoping I can use one of these Pokegear in our hands to find like a boss's orders or something on our next turn, or an Arven, and Arven would get us to a Prime Catcher to take that knockout as well. And then we can also get out using Miraidon. We can get a Pikachu out in our next turn, attach this metal energy to it, and then we'll just need a Crispin on the next turn for a Pikachu Gravity Mountain knockout. So that's kind of what I'm thinking at this point. My opponent goes ahead and puts just that 1 Psychic Energy down, so that's going to be our target for this turn. Go ahead and get that Pikachu out. Now we'll see if we want to Joltik. I could just sit here and use Joltik again, but I think I'm going to go a little bit quicker than that and try and keep my opponent from setting up. So we go ahead and retreat our Joltik, use boss's orders that we were able to find with a Pokegear pretty easily, and take our first 2 prize cards, take a little bit of a lead here. So now they definitely still can get a knockout in the way that we mentioned before, but at least we make it a little bit harder on them. And there we go, we get our Fezandipiti and the penny back from our prize cards, and go back to our opponent. So on the next turn, if they're able to evolve that Dreepy into a Dragapult here, I think I would try that Gravity Mountain Pikachu play if I can get a Crispin as well. Iono is honestly pretty predictable that they might have that, or they wouldn't just let me sit with a full hand here. So we're going to see what else we get in our hand. Get a Clefairy, which isn't too bad in this matchup. If they end up taking a knockout here, I can put that down. And it looks like they're not going to get to a Dragapult here. So seeing Arven in our hand, we might end up going with that Prime Catcher play. We have a free retreat with Latias to put Iron Hands back on the bench, and then go ahead and switch everything around once again. And if they're just going to let me sit here with Iron Hands all game, I'll happily take that. But we'll see what we get to after this, what else our opponent can get going for us. We can still attach this Lightning Energy onto Pikachu as well to set up for like a final Fezandipiti knockout or something like that. But that's what I'm thinking as of right now. I think in a lot of games we would want to use this Clefairy against a Dragapult deck, but haven't really needed to at the moment. So we'll go ahead, use Arven, get Prime Catcher for that play, make sure we retreat back onto the bench. Doesn't really matter what we put forward since everything is a basic. And then we'll go ahead and Prime Catcher our way into the target that we want. We'll attach our Electric Energy. We also have Earthen Vessel in our hand to go ahead and grab another Grass Energy on the next turn for Pikachu, if that's the way we're going to close out this game. A lot of the times we'd be getting to Bloodmoon Ursaluna here pretty soon, but they haven't taken any prize cards, and it doesn't look like they will anytime soon, unless they for some reason want to take out Joltik, which would be funny, with a Dusclops or something like that. They go ahead and Night Stretcher, maybe try and get a Dreepy back out. But yeah, they really weren't able to get too much going in this game. Maybe they couldn't find a rare candy or something like that, but even if they did have a rare candy, I feel like we still had a way to kind of get around some of their cards and get these first 4 prize cards out of the way. And then we'd just be working on that last knockout. So not too bad of a matchup for this deck. They use an Arven, so we'll see what they go ahead and grab with that. Maybe that's, no, it's a Prime Catcher. And again, Prime Catcher doesn't really do too much to us as long as we have Latias EX on the bench, seeing that everything we have down is a basic Pokemon. They put down some more stuff, but it honestly really doesn't matter. And we draw straight into a boss's orders, so I could just end the game that way, but I don't want to use Iron Hands for every single attack. That seems a little boring. So we're going to go ahead and Earthen Vessel, do the play we were thinking of before, switch it up a little bit, get Iron Hands out of the way, get Pikachu back in, and clean up the game. So yeah, a quick 2-2-2 prize mapped game, and that will do it for this one. And I won't make you watch an entirely new setup of a new game doing the exact same thing, but I did want to show off some other cards. So in this game we're playing against a newer card from Destined Rivals, which is Marnie's Grimmsnarl. Pretty good card. I'm seeing a lot of people play it with Frostlass, I believe, but this is the first time I ever played against it, and I got a chance to try out our Iron Leaves against it. So I was going to use Pokegear to go for an Arven to try and get to an Ultra Ball or something like that, maybe use Fezandipiti to try and draw it in that way, but we just ended up top decking it, which was perfect. We already have some Grass Energy on the board because we were setting up for a little bit of an Iron Hands play, possibly a Lillie's Clefairy play. If, I think they're doing like 200 damage or 180 damage with Lillie's Clefairy right now, which could get close to taking out that Peturant. but we're just going to go ahead with Iron Leaves right here, and it's Rapid Vernier play, if I said that correctly, or the ability moves it straight into the active, and we can steal some of this grass energy to go straight onto it as well. So a pretty intense ability going straight into the active and taking all the energy, which is great. Kind of like that, was it a Weirdeer that we used to have, like a Weirdeer V or something that used to do something similar? But we're going to go ahead and use Crispin as well to reset up our Iron Leaves that we just stole a bunch of energy from. So that'll be ready for the next play. And then Iron Leaves is going to do a huge 360 damage here, which is great. We'll toss down a Bravery Charm to protect our Fezandipiti as well. But this is why I didn't want to cut this card from the deck, in case it's like a Charizard, Marnie's Grimmsnarl, Hydreigon, any of those dark Pokemon that are weak to grass. It's helpful to have this card. So that's awesome. I think we end up winning this game by going into Iron Leaves next, and then cleaning it up with another Iron Leaves attack. And then I have to include a clip of Bloodmoon Ursaluna in this video because it comes in handy so often. In this game right here, our opponent took the ideal path of taking out Joltik first, followed by 2 prizers, so they have 1 prize card left, and we're looking at a Metagross with 340 HP. So a Pikachu plus a Gravity Mountain play doesn't get us the knockout here. Luckily, we have a Nest Ball and a Boss's Orders to easily clean up this game. We don't even need any energy. This comes in handy probably with almost half of our games, so it's super important to have this card in the deck, and this is what we use most of the time. And yeah, this is a great deck to use. I think you should give it a try. You're still here? It's over. Go watch another video. Go.